What's going on, guys? This is your motivation guy. That's right, your friend, the one and only Keith Allen. I am back with another ProGuides video. So we got a special treat for you guys today, as we're going to be discussing some advanced tips and tricks to help you prevent you from choking plays or panicking and just losing that crucial gunfight in a 1vx. Especially with Valorant being a team-based game, sooner or later, you're going to have to thrust into a situation where it's going to be just you versus the world. So learning how to deal with the emotions that come with a situation like that and how to approach this situation with the tactical, is so paramount to your success. However, before we dive into all these amazing tips we got for you today, we got to spend a little bit of time talking about our question of the day. Here we go. Today's question is, what is the most clutch situation that you've ever won? Remember to leave your answer to the question of the day in the comments down below. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to sit back, relax, and grab some of my favorite candy. What is that, y'all? It's that bunch of crunch. Now let's get this started. Here we go. Not to get all high school psych or anybody like that today, but humans fear the unknown. And clutch situations are the epitome of the unknown. You know the way it's all on your shoulders to get the kills and defuse the spike to win the round. The difference between someone who panics and doesn't know how to win the round and someone who is used to clutch situations isn't that they necessarily know what to do in every situation, but they have been in that situation so many times, it doesn't faze them anymore. So one of the keys to relaxing during a clutch is to remember that it's not a huge deal if you lose it, okay? It's just a game at the end of the day, like for real, right? And even if you do end up losing the clutch, you always have a chance to come back in the next few rounds. So the more and more clutches you get yourself into, my friends, the more and more you're gonna start to calm down and be able to think clearer and more objectively during them, right? So playing games and just racking up hours is the first step towards getting that mindset needed for a clutch situation, because you're gonna train your body to deal with the stress and really get used to the pressure over time. So the easiest way, guys, really to rack up in-game experience is honestly just to play with a friend and just work together on retakes or, relay important information in a clutch. We know that not everybody has friends to play with. I get it, but that's why we have some of the best Valorant coaches in the world just waiting to help you guys out on ProGuides.com, all right? We offer on-demand coaching for anything that you might feel weak in, all right? From mechanics to mentality to even clutch situations like we're talking about today. So be sure to check out the link in the description down below, man. Now, as we're gaining more and more experience by playing, the next step is to understand that no matter what happens, you're learning and you're gaining experience both for clutch situations and general game experience. One of the best mentalities that you can have in any situation, not just clutches, to always consider everything a win, even if you just got your head taken clean off your shoulders by that annoying jet. The thing is, man, you can learn from any situation as long as you know how to recognize important information and file it away for next time. So now 3 rounds later, when you're in the same situation, if you are keeping track of what you need to know, like where that jet is, most likely going to be hiding at this time instead of you just getting taken out. The jet and hopefully the rest of their team won't even know what hit them. So this is what I like to say. Honestly, you win some, you learn some. Every single opportunity that you have, man, you're growing, you're learning the game, and that happens in life as well. So this is a technique called mental flow charts. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth later in this video, because they're just really super important for staying calm in a clutch situation and really deserves its own section. So by always trying to find the silver lining in your mistakes and plays, like I just talked about, what's going to happen is you're unconsciously recognizing all the different angles that you can be shot from and the different habits that players don't even realize they have. For example, did you know that as you're attacking B site on Bind, most likely the enemy team will have only 2 players stationed on B, and if they have a Cypher, he is most likely going to be on B site. So not only can you look out for trap wires, if you destroy one, the B players are probably going to get antsy and call for a rotate, and then boom, you just faked the site with almost no information. Obviously, this is just a hypothetical, but it's these small things about how people play around different abilities and their fear of just dying that you're going to start catching on as to how to mature as a player. One of the easiest ways to lose concentration in a clutch and end up faltering is overthinking. Yeah, overthinking things or focusing on factors that don't even matter at the moment. If you are in the middle of a 1v3, thinking about the next round or thinking about how there is no way you're going to win in this clutch is just going to end up holding you back. So focus on the round and just try to keep track of how much time has passed and how enemies could move around to different positions. So let me break this down, man. The easiest way to win a clutch is to be, able to process more information than your enemies. And most of the time you are doing that anyways, because when people see that there's only one enemy left, they tend to get pretty careless and make dumb mistakes. Even if you think that you aren't good at keeping track of any enemy movement or things like that, you can still keep track of the angles you have cleared so you don't have to worry about getting shot in the back. Even something as small as that can really just turn a lost round into an awesome clutch. That being said, my friends, you can't be overthinking things, as you still need to be hyper aware and be ready to flick and shoot at a moment's notice. If you are trying to process things like the exact positioning of every person and calculating out the precise, tangent angles to the OPer's left kneecap, you're going to be left with a melted brain, both figuratively and in-game. Sometimes, honestly, it's just best to leave things up to your reactions and just play around the info that you know you have. Sure, I get it. If you know that you can predict where everyone is positioned in a post plan and exactly how they're going to react to every situation, then go ahead and spend that brain power on that. But I'm willing to bet, man, unless you have ascended to another plane of existence, that's going to be a bit difficult. For the mere mortals out there who are human, it's better to have a general idea of the positions that players are going to be watching and just keep track of who you have killed in that area. That way, you aren't so distracted trying to keep track of every position, but you can also mentally just cross out angles that you don't have to worry about for a bit. We just touched on the importance of not overthinking things and focus on the task at hand. So now to build on that, we're going to show you guys how to build a rough game plan for a clutch around the info you have. All right, first and foremost, having a game plan is important because having an idea of how you want to go about the clutch, that's going to help you keep calm and focused. So try to understand why you're making certain decisions as you make them and just really keep track of what works and really what doesn't. Okay, so as a general rule of thumb for clutches, you want to avoid fighting two people at the same time to minimize the risk of getting killed, obviously, right? Also, never assume any part of the map is safe in a clutch. If your last teammate just died on the other side, you might be able to run to the other side without too much risk, but it is always safer to just err on the side of caution. Enemies like to go hunting in clutch situations, and especially if there is a lot of time left on the clock, and people are going to be trying to get behind you and surprise you as best they can. So positioning yourself to be exposed to as few angles as possible is always the most optimal, but not always the most reasonable to pull off. I mean, how are you supposed to win a clutch hiding behind a box, hoping the enemy raise doesn't jump scare you with an RPG? Instead, before you commit to just trying to take a fight or even just securing part of the map, take it slow, all right? And just be sure to check your corners, then try to see if you can just figure out where the safest spot to take a fight in your current position would be. So if you realize that you are in an exposed area, keep calm and just try to reposition as safely as possible, okay? Crouch walking can actually get you around some very annoying corners like B Tower on Split. But however, if you decide to go about it, just try to make sure that you give away as little info to the enemy team as possible, whether that be in the audio cues or spotting you walking. We know that this is slightly vague advice, but it's impossible to go through every possible scenario and honestly see what is the best option in each one. So it really does just come down to your own skill and really your own decision making. But that's why we recommend playing a lot of games and just honestly getting familiar with clutches. All right, guys, mental flowcharts are one of the easiest ways to keep track of information for a clutch and get inside the head of your enemies. So I recommend that everyone try using this technique in all of their matches, not just for clutches. It's a fancy name for a simple idea. All a mental flowchart really is just something that you keep adding more and more information, to as the game progresses. So let's just say I just started up a match on Bind and we're attacking on the first pistol round. Right now, I don't know much about the enemy team, only their team composition and probably that they're playing 3A and 2B since that is the most standard setup. As pistol round progresses, I'm going to be keeping track of who I see, where, and how they play. Do they play their Sage A or B? Do they tend to be aggressive and hold inside a hookah? How much space do they give us at A short? What agents are they playing on A and B? Okay, do they rotate at the first sign of aggression, or do they cosplay a rock and just never move out of sight? These are all questions that I try to figure out the answer to as the game progresses, and normally by the end of the first rifle round, I will have answered about half of these questions. Now, all right, the flowchart part of the mental flowchart really comes into play, all right? The more you pay attention to how the enemies play, the more you can read how they're going to react to certain situations. For example, all right, let's say I'm playing against a team that I know likes to rotate at the first sign of aggression. Still pretending this is on Bond, by the way. I can take advantage of that in a clutch by throwing smoke towards B and going A if I'm playing an agent with smoke. Hopefully, that will put at least one person from A towards B and just give me an easier time taking A site. On the other hand, if I know I'm playing against a very static team that doesn't really like to rotate, then I will most likely look at the scoreboard and just head to the site that I think has the least amount of players watching it, or where I think their bottom fraggers are watching. I also know that I have to push hard because I want to clear out everyone watching the site before the players on the other side end up rotating towards the site I'm on. The more things you can add to your mental flowchart, honestly, the better. Start with simple things to keep track of, my friends, what sites different agents play and really how fast they rotate. Once you get used to keeping track of those, start adding more and more information, but be careful not to overload yourself. If you have ever wondered how it is that pros can just seem to just get inside each other's heads so well, it's honestly because of this. And what is so amazing is that it works for every game, not just Valorant. All right, guys, once again, this is your motivation guy. That's right, your friend, the one and only Keith Allen. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to connect with me on my Insta at your motivation guy. That's it for today. Be sure to hit that like button on your way down to the description to check out our website along with our Discord. Okay, so if you're feeling extra, cool today, maybe even consider hitting the subscribe button. We really do put out new videos like this one every day, and I'm sure you don't want to miss out. All right, guys, stay safe. I'll see you soon. Peace.